thing.
Affordability has been an issue for local politicians for years. We have a housing crisis right now, a major shortage. Drew Sheberly from the Chamber of Commerce says we need 15,000 new homes every year for the next 10 years. Does CodeNEXT address those problems? Scott, you're a developer. Does it work?
I would say, as it stands right now, version 3, 1,700 pages, no, it does not. That it needs more help. And just like Carmen had said, it needs to be simplified. We don't want a bigger, more complex code. We need a simpler code that will generate more housing, because our current housing capacity, as you just mentioned, is not doing the job.
What does it mean for the homeowner out there? The average taxpayer that owns a house or wants to build a house here in town. What do you want them to know about CodeNEXT?
Well, if CodeNEXT does its job, then hopefully their home prices are not going to continue to go up at the same rate that they have been at its core. I think that as far as its impact on their day-to-day lives or perhaps their immediate surroundings and their neighborhoods, it shouldn't have too much impact there either. So we're not saying that the whole city needs to be rezoned to something much more dense and high-rise, et cetera.
You mentioned something there, property taxes. That's on everyone's mind. That is the number one issue.
It is.
We pay too much. Everybody will agree with that. How does CodeNEXT keep our property taxes down?
Well, that just comes down to basic supply and demand, guys. Really, if we have a housing shortage with lots of demand, prices go up, and that's what's happened to us for the last 7 years. We have been on a bull market in real estate for about 7 years. And that trajectory.
You're talking about, affecting the value of a home.
Correct. That's what we all get taxed on.
The tax rate.
The tax rate is a different issue that really I can't speak to in terms of where it's at.
But CodeNEXT does not affect the tax rate.
No, it does not.
But it does affect value.
Correct. It can affect value. That's correct. But so right now values are rising. Under our current code, we have a housing shortage, and values are going up. And so we've got to do something about that. And that means offering more housing types and more housing choices in every neighborhood. And that's something that really doesn't exist in the current code today. And that's missing middle housing. I don't know if y'all have heard that term.
Yeah.
Sort of referenced. It is generally anything between the corridor, the tall apartment complex or office building on the corridor, and the single-family home in the middle of the neighborhood.
I would love to chime in on this and come back to the supply and demand issue, because this is one place where I think it's important to qualify. You can't use just a 101 argument of supply and demand here and just look at supply without looking at the demand side of the equation. Mm-hmm. In the last 5 or so years, we've had almost the population of Pflugerville move into Austin with 2 and 3 times the median family income. So you have this huge influx of high-income earners. There's not actually a housing shortage right now in the city of Austin if you can pay $450,000 for a house. There's plenty of options out there. There's a huge shortage for the people who are at 80% median family income and below, 60% median family income. I mean, your regular folks. Right now, 70% of Austin can't afford what's in Austin.
You're talking about 300,000 and lower, or
Absolutely.
350 and lower?
Yes, and when you look at 300,000, you're not looking anywhere close to the central city. You're now looking much farther out. And so the issue there is that the market right now is not going to solve that problem, not when you have so many high-income earners and not when you can easily develop and sell to those high-income earners. You're just going to push the affordability farther and farther out. So I don't necessarily believe that CodeNEXT, as it's presented, has any chance of densifying the central city in a way that's going to bring the price down for people in that range. We're going to need different kinds of tools. We're going to need subsidies, public-private partnerships. We've seen how it can work, but what you do when you put by right developments to say put 6 houses or 4 houses on a lot instead of 1, all of a sudden you've just driven up the value in a speculative market. So this is why houses in East Austin now are on the market for $850,000. Not about the house, it's about the land under it. And just offering it up for more development doesn't necessarily bring down the price. It just builds more in the market for those high-income earners.
Sure. Scott, can you make a living building $300,000 homes in the core city?
I can. I would love it if I could do that.
You can't?
Yeah, but you can't because of the code that is in place today. And I want to be try and put this in easy-to-understand terms. So on a given lot today in the middle of town, you can build one single-family home on the vast majority of central Austin lots, which I think is what we're talking about here, certainly in East Austin. You can build one single-family home plus a accessory dwelling unit or a second garage apartment, granny flat, and that's it. And but for the past 30 years, really, you can only build a single-family home. That the little garage apartment really wasn't allowed until very, very recently, within the last couple of years.
Right.
So what you see in the code is a bias towards single-family homes. And what that means is 70% of the demos today citywide are one-to-one replacement, meaning that you take out the existing single-family home and you just replace it, like you mentioned, with a bigger single-family home. And that does nothing to help our housing shortage. All it does is just raise prices because people are willing to pay that for these locations.